Okay, Devotion. So, uh, a Korean War movie, even though it's not really a Korean War
Not entirely,
movie.
no. Not even really half.
It is mainly Jesse Brown's story, which I am 100% okay with.
Yeah.
I just really hope it's not a Hollywood thing where they embellish some stuff about him. Regardless.
Which isn't true, which you're kind of defeating the purpose at that point if you gotta make shit up.
But that's what Hollywood does.
Yeah.
When they say based on true story, 25% real.
Yeah.
So, regardless though, I did like this movie. It did hit. It makes you feel sad though. It's a sad movie.
It's a rough one.
Really sad. It's a slow burn for sure. In the beginning, it's a little weird. It's
First
a little
half
awkward.
is just, kind of just meeting all the characters and stuff.
I wouldn't go in watching this movie thinking that it's going to be action packed because there is very minimum amount of action in here. But that being said, the action that is in here, it had me on the edge of my seat, and
It's full.
it doesn't do that Michael Bay explosion crap where when you hit something and it explodes, it's nothing but a fireball and it's just fire. It's more realistic where it's a puff of fire and then black smoke, and I really appreciate that. And that scene where was it the Chinese, North Korean, I guess both. Technically, on the ground, where they shot the flare and then you just see a wall of gunfire coming in. That scared the hell out of me.
Mountain of gunfire.
And then you saw them creeping closer and closer, and they're out there. And our grandpa was in the Korean War, and it's called the Forgotten War for a reason. Is because no one really knows too much about it. I know jack shit about it. And I couldn't imagine living in the minus 30 degree snowy nights with Chinese and North Korean coming down the mountain.
Bomb rushing you every night.
Yeah.
Hand-to-hand combat was super normal.
Right.
That's
scary.
POW deaths were like one of the biggest in almost all of the wars of that century.
Right.
If you got caught, most likely you were going to die.
So the leader of the squadron or whatever, there was a weird thing where he was really cool. He's like that really cool teacher that tells you to go fuck yourself, but not in like a mean way. He's like that kind of teacher. But he's like, I'm gonna fly with you boys, and he opens up his landing gear and he goes, "Can someone check my landing gear is weird?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's out. Oh, I gotta turn around. Sorry guys, you're on your own." He's like, "What?" That guy. Okay, so
he did join the fight later, right?
Yeah, he did join the fight later. So I was like confused about that. Like, was he doing it on purpose so the other guy can show his leadership roles?
It was one of those awkward things that actually happened that they stuck true to that just seems weird on the screen.
Right. So there was a line in there that he said that I actually really agreed with, and like I was like, whew. And he's like, "Do you know how many wars humanity has been in?" He goes, "It's impossible. There's no way to know." And he goes, "That's why they call it the Forgotten War." And he goes, "Most wars are forgotten. The men who die in it, and the medals won. Everyone forgets about it." And what did he say? He said the only thing that people
count on is, or the only thing people care about is if you can count on someone.
If you can show up, yeah,
to do. What needs to be done.
What needs to be done. I like that. I'm kind of butchering the line, but I did really like that whole thing. It kind of sums up the Forgotten War. Is there were so many wars that you can't really keep track of. The only ones people really pay attention to are the World Wars and maybe
really just
the current ones.
2 in Vietnam, and we had a lot of like Afghanistan, Iraq movies, but that's about it.
So, I would like to see a lot more Korean War movies.
Yeah. Really show it.
The only thing I guess I was a little disappointed in, but it was kind of on me, is that I was expecting
some intense,
more
crazy
Korean War, but this movie really is just about Jesse Brown in general, and we spend a lot of the time, probably a third of the movie, with him and his family. And it's not horrible. It's just I was expecting something different, so therefore I was a little confused. But the movie is solid. Like, it has a good beginning, middle, end, besides the slow burn in the beginning. But once it ends, you realize it's not like Flyboys. It's not like Red Tails. It's not any of that shit where...
Good movies, though.
Yeah, where you have, like, really big battles, like 3 big battles, and it's about the war.
Yeah.
Here, it's more or less about
Grounded
the war.
on the dude.
Yeah, it's more focused on Jesse, which is not bad. And I did like that, and that's why I was really sad at the end, because, I mean, it sucks when things are based on real life, and you're like, they can change it.
And they come
All you
out
have to do is write
tragically.
it. Yeah, you just have to type it, change it.
Yeah.
But this is real life,
Yeah.
based on real life, and it doesn't end the way you want it to, and that's why it freaking hurts so much.
Yeah, unbearably tragic.
Right.
Hurting.
The pressure in here. So we see a couple of scenes in here where he's yelling. He's not yelling at himself. He's mimicking what white racists have shouted at him ever since he was a little boy. He had a book that keep track to motivate himself. So he would look in the mirror and pretty much call himself the N-word and all this other stuff, boy, and it would get him pumped up for stuff that he was under pressure. And, for example, there's moments in this movie where you're still, like, grabbing your seat when it's not action. And one I can think about is when they have that hook, when they're trying to land on the aircraft carrier for the first time, that actually graduates them for combat. And he misses the first one, and you're, like, really scared because you can tell he's nervous.
Slings back, and he almost hits the planes in front of
Yeah,
him.
and he had to come up, and, and then later on they tell you that when he was in flight school, they were trying to fail him with the swimming classes because they didn't think black people could swim because people are stupid back then. And so they put extra weights in his jacket. They were dunking him under. They were keeping him. They threw ice in the pool. They did anything to keep him past, and he pushed through it. And it really shows you the extra pressure that they had on themselves to excel or just be as good.
Yeah.
It is like having weights on your feet.
Yeah.
Doing anything.
The whole time.
Yeah.
Doing anything. Walking down the street.
Walking down the street. Oh, there's a scene in here where him and his family are having a good old time, and then you hear a big old bang.
Which is the worst sound you could ever hear in the 50s when you're a black person or a black family.
First of all,
boo, boo, boo at night.
If I came home at 9 o'clock at night and then I heard a big old bang on my door, I'm shitting my pants, let alone a black man in the 50s. So, yeah, it was the police telling them to keep it down. And they were just having fun. They were just giggling and laughing. Oh, they're having fun over there. Tell them to knock it off right away. Whoop! Coming in hot.
We're already there.
Yeah. And there was also a part in here where he did kind of disobey a direct order, and then they put insubordination in a report.
Yeah, but he broke the rules to take down a bridge
Right.
separating the Chinese border and
Right.
the North Korean border, which was very helpful.
And I really hope that is
True.
But after that event, his wingman, who was his wingman? Tom Hudner pretty much got signatures saying, no, it was right, it was complicated, blah, blah, blah. And he said, a slap on the wrist for me is different from a slap on the wrist for you. And there were times in this movie where Tom would witness racism going to Jesse, and Tom would be like, whoa, 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 that's not cool. And Jesse's like, it's fine. I'm used to it. It's okay. And, you know, even towards the end when he's consolidating with his, with Jesse's wife, she's like, it's fine. It's okay. So, like, I really felt like Tom, this entire movie, was, like, trying to do the right thing, but he's kind of like a fish out of water in this time period where he just can't comprehend the difficulties of being an African American in the 50s. And let's be honest, the 50s, weren't there like still sundown towns in the 50s? Like there was some scary, crazy shit that people still to this day don't even realize how horrifying it was to be certain people in this country.
I think that shit picked in like the 60s, so the
Right.
50s are probably a lot.
Yeah, that was our review for Devotion. What would you give it? What grade would you give it? I'd give it an A. The only problem I had, like I said, was I was expecting something different and got something else. But it still ended up being good.
His death was a little fast.
Yeah, his death was a little weird.
Like he was kind of fighting there for a second, then he was super cold. You can tell he was cold, and then he was done. He was out. And
yeah, it sucked because when he crashed, they looked down and they saw him. He was doing this, and he's like, "He's fine. Why isn't he getting out?" And then he doesn't leave the plane. He never leaves the plane. and it sucks. But yeah, it was a little weird. So he just started going crazy on the side that doesn't open. What was he doing? He was just swinging at the plane,
just banging on it.
And then Jesse's old buddy in training camp or flight school
helicopter
showed up, and and that was another thing where I was like, yes, he's gonna go get his friend.
No.
Fucking damn it, dies.
And he dies in the ship because you can't get the fucking leg out.
Right. And it's a bummer. It's a bummer of a movie for sure, but not a bad movie.
I guess you can look back at his life and go, yeah, he deserves a fucking movie.
Yeah.
He died in Korea, and he didn't get his body back. They didn't get the body back or something until 2013.
Mm-hmm.
We were out of high school.
Yeah. Oh. And those two families, Hudner and Brown, are still family friends to this day.
Yeah.
His granddaughter's sitting right next to, I guess, Hudner's son? I don't know who that is. But yeah, it was cool. And at the end, they started showing you some of his letters and his handwriting and the last letter he wrote. So it does do that classic thing with based on true story. Here's the real pictures. Here's the real people.
As they should all do.
Right.
Not all of them do it.
No. So I'm happy this one did. But all right, that was our review for Devotion. See you guys in the next one.